people letting aggression out, and was so passionate that reflects and people can see it. Hair metal was built on excess and drugs and alcohol, and that's fine. Like all that, partying, that's okay. That has its facet, Radio rock they all play a part, but I think that this genre of music, we're so accessible to kids that you can come here, and I literally hang out at our tent all day. You can come right up to me and tell me about anything you want. And that's the thing, is we're so accessible, and kids, recognize the passion in our music, and it reflects in their own life. I do think that, kids gravitate a lot more towards music now, and whether it be, like the funny situation is we had a kid, bad relationship with his parents, really bad relationship. He's now 25. This is a couple years when I first joined the band. And he used to buy Vanna CDs and Parkway Drive CDs and Every Time I Die CDs, and his parents would throw them out. You're not listening to that kind of music. Well, his mom made a Twitter so she could watch his activity, and he was like, "Hey, will you tweet at my mom and tell her to come to a show with me?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I tweeted at this kid's mom and invited them to the show, and I met her, and she was very skeptical and whatever, and we played, and I had them stand on stage, and she asked me a lot of questions about what my songs are about, because they just think it's about exactly. And by the end of the set, she was, and now her and her husband, and he's 25, and his little brother's 16. They all come out to shows now, and I think it's cool because kids might start listening to this music thinking they're rebelling in a certain way, because I know I did, but in actuality, it could really change your life. And there's so many bands that talk about so many positive things, and even bands talk about negative things to show kids how real the world really is. So I think that this generation and this world and genre are definitely attracted to each other. You know what I mean? And I think it's necessary. I think that Warped Tour, honestly, in the long run, Warped Tour saves lives, I think. So
that's really interesting. I didn't make that correlation, but it totally makes sense. Yeah. And it's really great that you're that accessible to fans, and that, ultimately music can be such a unifying thing once the older generation realizes that it's not just noise, and that there's...
It's not just anger, it's passion, you know what I mean? Sometimes passion is loud.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, you answered my question beautifully. Do you prefer these outdoor gigs as the rain starts to fall, or do you like the more intimate club gigs?
I should keep on taking this because I don't feel like you should have to hold it the whole time. This is cool. This is so cool because you can get out and you can walk and see a band for 15 minutes and see another band for 15 minutes. And you can, that's awesome. I love it. You get to be outside. It's beautiful sometimes, not right now. But we tend to shine and strive more in club settings because there's no ceilings here I can hang from. There's no walls to smush everyone into one compact group so kids can crowd surf and do. We like being rowdy. We love the interaction. We love when, I'll get in the crowd and I'll get back and I'll be bleeding from my lip and I'm like, wow, that was awesome. These kids are nuts, That's what we live for. So we love these outdoor things. I always love playing outside. It's just something different about playing music outside. You feel like you're playing to the whole world, which is cool. But we really like the intimate setting. So it's good to balance doing our summers outside. And we did last summer, we did all outside festivals in Europe. And then all the darker months, fall, winter, we're packed inside a club. So we like that a lot.
Both sound like fun. Another sort of broader question is, musicians and tattoos really seem synonymous. Are yours more of a collection of your travels, or do you go to one person when you're home? What sort of inspires you to continue to get tattoos?
Yeah, and I'm going to answer them all. Most of our tattoos and most of the guys in the band, we all have tattoos from artists that we've met around the world. I've gotten tattooed over in Europe, and we've met in Australia and the U.S. and yeah, it's a really good collection. And traveling really gets you to even if they're not your friends and they're artists that I follow artists online that I'm like, oh man, we're gonna be in this area. I want to get tattooed by this person. So yeah, it's a mostly collection. I do have a shop at home that I get tattooed at that my friends own and run. It's called Ironworks Tattoo. Yeah, and it's weird. I guess it's not that weird, but tattoos and musicians. I mean, you look around and everyone's covered here. I think, like, once again, tattoos were a form of maybe rebellion a long time ago and kind of outcast from society. But now, like, teachers have sleeves and yeah, exactly. So, like, it's becoming, so now it's just more about, now it's more about the artwork and expressing yourself in other ways, and it's cool. I watched my mother when I got my first tattoo. She cried. She hates tattoos. She'll hate them forever. She doesn't ever want me to get a mom tattoo. But I've watched her meet my friends, meet my band, be around our culture, and be like, oh, that, you know what, this is just whatever. And to the point now where I know that deep down she likes them because she's a very creative person. I grew up in a very creative household. And, you know, she'll post pictures of me on Facebook, and her friends will be like, look at David's artwork. It's like, yep, he's covered head to toe, and, like, it's never mad about it. So, it's funny because tattoo artists just tend to, like, once again, it goes back to this generation. They like this aggressive music, and they see bands they love, and they go, hey, man, I love your band. I would love to tattoo you. And then you just develop this relationship of artwork. They come and, you know, we get them into our shows, and they have a good time, and they're like, hey, I want to tattoo you guys, like, you know, whatever. So it's just a celebration of different kinds. It's all art. It's just all kind of just a culmination. So, yeah, and everyone is here. It's covered, which is great. I think it's great. I think I'm not one of those people that are like, don't talk to me about my tattoos. Like, I look very different than the rest of the world. So when I'm in Walmart in Indiana and people are staring at me, I'm not mad about it because, like, I get it. I know what I look like. And if anything, it's a conversation starter. I love talking about it. And the more that you can change people's, you know, stereotypical views of whatever, because like yesterday we did beach cleanup down in from Sandy at Seaside, and there was just so many, like, older retired people being like, wow, look at you guys. You look like criminals, yet you're being so nice and doing something great for our community. So it's a chance to break stereotypes, which I love to do that. So.
And thank you for that. I'm from New Jersey originally, and so, you know, that's always great. One where you can help any community and change, like you said, change your mind. Switching over to back to Void a little bit. Releasing a new album, especially in 2014, has got to be a stressful and a completely different endeavor than when you got started in music. Back in the day, and we won't say how long, but it's, you know, back many days, album sales used to be sort of the earmark of, this is where your band is, that's how you know you're successful. This is how big you are. How do you judge success for your band? How do your bandmates judge success now?
This is actually a funny struggle for all of us this past couple of weeks. We, you know, releasing a record that we put so much into it, and it's so hard to put a price tag on, like, someone's art, you know, and that's any band, I think, you know, and no matter what genre you are, you know, and when you put your heart and soul into something, and, you know, we're living on, you know, couches for a couple months to, like, you know, not seeing our family, not working, you know, eating tuna fish, and then for your record to not sell a lot because everyone downloaded it and just stole it it's a little bit heartbreaking. But at the same time, I was talking this about with our managers yesterday. I want record sales to just go away, for that to not be a benchmark to judge any band, because I've seen some bands. We get to see people's, like, sound scans. I get to see some bands that I'm like, their record's not selling shit, and I watch them play, and I'm like, that's how I measure success. If I measure success by these kids in the crowd screaming until they're crying and being so passionate about a 4-minute song. So, I mean, for me, I want you to buy our record because we worked really hard on it, and we sell for $5 at our merch table. Our record label gives them to us for $4. We're making $1 off every record, which we'll never see. It just goes back into the band again, because we just want people to have it. But at the same time, you know, record sales in my mind can go to hell. I don't care. It's about every single one of those kids. It's not about, and if they downloaded it, kids are poor sometimes, and sometimes that's the best they can do is they pay for internet connection and they can download a record, and if you do that, you're not a bad person. I understand times are tough and things are hard. So with that being said, save your money and come to a show and hang out with us. Buy a T-shirt because that money, we will see that money. And, you downloaded it, you better learn every goddamn word of that record and scream extra hard. And, so not advocating downloading everyone's music, but I understand that, like, times are tough and, there's just money is so hard to come by these days. So, but yeah, it's just frustrating that, like, the industry still works in the way where it's like, well, this person sold this many first week, so therefore they're big. Let's continue to get them on other tours. It's like I want everyone that works an industry job, I want them to go on tour. And a lot of them have, which is cool because there's a lot of them that are amazing people because they totally get everything. They get it. But I want everyone that if you work in the industry, you need to go on tour for 6 months before you work in the industry. I want that to be like a program that you have to do it. Tour in a van for 6 months.
Tour in a van for a week.
Yeah, and you tell me if you should put, such an importance on something that is so easy to steal. I can steal a band's record on my phone. I have a torrent program for movies, so I can play movies while we're like driving and stuff, and I can steal bands right on my phone. That's how easy it is to do that. So it's so hard to judge by like record sales. So yeah, don't download, try to buy, but if you do download, you better learn those words. Come to that show.
I think that's a good deal. I have a feeling that, or at least maybe it is a hope for me as well, that record sales do sort of go by the wayside and streaming will come into play. I'm not trying to predict, but I'm just saying. I think it has to be the way it's heading.
I use Spotify. I pay $10 a month, and the cool thing about Spotify and all these streaming apps that you pay for, they cut checks for bands. It's small, but we get what we probably would have gotten through record sales but it goes right to the band. So it's very cool. I back Spotify, Last.fm, all those things. Like if you can make an account and you pay a month for it, bands will see that. And little by little, you start to see, I just saw a report, like, how much our new record streamed on Spotify when it got released. And I was like, well, that's pretty cool, you know what I mean? And I know for me, I use Spotify because I love it. So, yeah, hopefully that just dies out, goes away. I said, and this is like no one in management or label wanted to do this last time, but I was like, let's not even, on our next record, let's not even release a physical copy. Let's do vinyls, a digital download, and when you buy the record, you get like a framed piece of artwork. So you can put it up in your house with a digital download, put it on your iPod.
That's a great idea. I think you need to keep talking about that idea.
Did it. Radiohead's done it. So big bands are doing it. I would literally like have to start a revolution in the music industry for that to happen. So I don't think I'm tall enough for that.
Well, I'll talk to you offline about an idea about physical CDs in a minute. But after Warped Tour, what's up next for Vanna?
We have a little bit of time off. We get home, and then we're gonna do a full U.S. tour with a club tour with a band on this tour actually, who's killing it at the moment. And then after that, we literally get immediately home from that, and we go right to the UK and Europe, and we do direct support for another band out there. I can't say either band right now because it's not announced. I'll tell you afterwards. It's not announced, but both bands are amazing, and we are so excited to tour with these two bands. And then that brings us all the way to Christmas, and then we do we call it a home for the holidays run. So we'll do we're from Boston, so we usually do like New York, Philly, Connecticut, something whatever. We do 4 shows, in the Northeast, and then we have one after Christmas, right before New Year's. We have one big show in Worcester, Massachusetts, at the Palladium, and then that's all the way the rest of the year. And then now we're looking to 2015, which is crazy that this year's only half over and we're done. And we've literally, since we got all the tours, and we've been since I don't know, April, we've just been done with our year. So now we're looking at 2015. So it's going to be a busy one. No real rest for us, but we get really stir crazy if we get a rest. So and then so we'll be all over the map. So, and maybe possibly Australia beginning of next year. So we'll see.
Staying busy is a good thing.
Yeah, it is.
So stay tuned for more from Vanna. This is Jackie with All Access and In the Key of Change.